Welcome to Just John and April, the relationship podcast, your place for life, love, and laughs. In today's episode,
Steph Curry reacts to Ayesha,
relationship insecurities, and the word of the day. Hey, babe, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good.
I'm good, too. It's a big couple of days for us. We posted a video last week, and we got a lot of responses, didn't we?
We did.
Yeah, a whole bunch. We posted a video about Ayesha Curry and what's going on with her and Steph and that whole thing that happened on Red Table Talk and all that. And we got several people to comment and to say different things. And we thought what we do to start off the show is just to kind of talk about, just to decompress a little bit and talk about what we heard and what we saw, what we read. Very interesting stuff.
Yeah.
What did you think when you read the comments?
I was a little shocked, to be honest with you.
I wasn't at all.
I just was not expecting. No, I really was not expecting such a harsh response to her comment.
Okay.
I mean, I knew some people wouldn't agree, but
Right.
some of the stuff that was being said was just like, are you kidding me? Like,
Right.
is it really that deep? Like, to say that?
Right.
I mean, some people said stuff like, that's immediate divorce papers.
Right. Yeah.
The fact that,
I'm saying stuff
I
about
don't
her
know.
not being satisfied with what she has and stuff like that. That she has a good man and here she is complaining and stuff like that. Yeah.
A lot of the things said like, girls like her can't be satisfied. She has everything and it's not enough. She got a good man and all that money, but she still wants other men. Steph is a good man and you are embarrassing him with your insecurities, which I thought was very low to say.
Yeah.
And I just feel like, yes, she's famous. Yes, they are big time.
Yeah.
But they're human.
Right.
And she's human.
Yeah.
And she has feelings. And,
Right.
she said to Jada
Yeah.
and the group of women
Right.
that this may sound weird.
Mm-hmm.
She said, I really don't want this,
Mm-hmm.
but in 10 years, I haven't had a guy hit on me at all.
She said no male attention is what
No
she said.
male attention,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
And she wasn't saying it to say, I want that.
It didn't seem like she actually said she didn't want that.
Yeah, she actually said, I don't
She
want
said
it.
I don't want it.
But she was like, basically, this insecurity that I have now is
right.
making me kind of wonder,
Right.
there's something wrong with me.
Right.
And I'm saying, I don't get how that sounds like my man is not good enough.
Right.
And I need other men to show me that I'm.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. So my problem with it, to be honest with you, was I felt like, just personally, it felt like people who were responding were not necessarily responding to her comment. They were either responding to the news headline or they were responding to someone else's comment about what she said.
Yeah.
Or they were responding to the way that they felt that Steph would have been treated had he made the comment. Because most of the guys that I read said things like, if Steph had said something like this, they would have killed him. He would have got messed up. His career would have been torn up. Exactly. All that kind of stuff. And so let me just acknowledge that I do believe that when it comes to things like this, there may be a little bit different reaction that a man would get from what a woman would get. I get that. And I understand there's a double standard, but that's how life is. You know what I'm saying? We have double standards all the time. So that's not really the point, in my opinion. If we just isolate it and deal with what she said, forget about what would happen if Steph had said it.
No,
that's not really the point.
It's not. But I want to go back to that because it's about the position that Steph is in. He's a bigger of the two stars.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's the reason why, if he said it, it would be like, what are you talking about? You got people all over you. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
I think if it was like Serena's man, let's just say,
who's not as big of a
who
star
was not as big of a star as she is,
Okay.
and said, man, guys are always gawking over Serena, and I'm like, man, ain't no girls looking at me. I don't think that would have been a big deal.
So you don't think guys would have necessarily been like saying the same thing about Serena's man, saying, why would you embarrass her? Why would you talk like that? Nothing like that.
Not one bit.
Okay.
Not one bit. And I do not think that he would have gotten bashed for being like, man, you a man and you wanting women to come after you.
Right.
It wouldn't have been like that.
You may be right. That's
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
Because it's about the position.
Right.
Yeah. So
that's probably true. Well, anyway, so it was very interesting. Now, I do have a couple of theories. Now, I want to hear from you too, though, because I think you saw that both Steph and Ayesha made comments on social media after this, and I want to hear what you have to say about that. But before you say that, I want to say one more thing about the men. So I have a theory about why the men who responded on this were so they had venom. I mean, it was vitriol.
Yes.
I mean, they just and the things the men were basically saying were, basically all of them had a similar thing of, if that was a man, I'd have been jacked up. And so what I think is happening is men seem to be putting themselves in this position and saying, how would they feel
if their
girl basically suggested that she still wants attention from other men?
Right.
So let me just ask you.
What?
Do you want attention from other men?
No. Matter of fact, it's annoying when, but maybe because they always old crusty men coming. I might not feel that way if the men were.
If it was
nice.
like Denzel,
exactly.
If he thought you were
Denzel
cute,
was, I was like, "Ooh, Denzel hitting on me."
But I'm saying,
I must be cute.
Do you want attention from other men?
I don't want that. No.
Okay.
But I do think that it can give you like "Ooh, I'm looking cute today" or something like that. But it's not like I'm looking out for it. I want it, which is what she said. She said it's not like I want this.
Right.
But again, I say.
No, I do want to say that
I don't think she wants the Piggly Wiggly man.
Right.
To look at her.
Now, can I ask you a different question?
Yeah.
And this is probably a better question. Is there something different? Is there something different about
I always get the Piggly Wiggly man.
Well, I don't know why you always getting Piggly Wiggly guys coming at you, trying to get with you.
Always.
You want a man to hit on you that has money, is basically what you're saying.
I'm just saying. I think that would actually give it more clout.
Right.
Let's just say that. I don't need it. I don't want it.
Right.
But if that happened, I wouldn't be as annoyed.
I don't know if I'd mind that either if you actually threw
put
some
it
money
that
your
way.
way. But anyway, so here's my question, though, and this is what I really want to know. And maybe this is part of the sticking point. Maybe this is part of the problem. If I give you a compliment, does it mean the same to you as if another person gives you a compliment? Let's not even say it's a man. Let's just say it's a different human being than me. It could be your mother. It could be your sister. It could be whoever. Is there something different about when your husband says you look nice and when a perfect stranger says you look nice?
There is a difference.
Why?
First of all, everybody knows this.
Okay.
And, these dudes that saying all this stuff, the reality is, I don't know what it is about the human condition. I don't know. But when your parents, which somebody said this on a comment, when your parents tell you you're beautiful, you're smart, you're this, you're happy that they're saying it, but it's really for real when your teacher says, "Wow, you are very smart."
Okay, yeah.
Or
because you feel like your parents supposed to say that,
right?
Okay,
just like you feel like your husband
is supposed to say, "You look nice today."
Right. I mean, not that doesn't do anything for you.
Of course not. Yeah, it does mean something.
But if someone else says to me, that dress really looks good on you, it just kind of solidifies what it is that you said. Because
you felt like the person that just said it has no obligation to tell you this. This is not a person that actually is trying to get brownie points with you necessarily or anything like that. And so it comes out of nowhere and it's like surprising and you're like, oh man, that was nice. I got a compliment from somebody. This must actually be a nice dress. That my husband telling me that for the last 4 months and I've been saying, oh, it's not really true.
Well, not that you're saying it's not true because it's like a subconscious thing. It's like you're not really thinking that on the forefront of your mind. You're not thinking, oh, I need somebody else to tell me this.
Right.
It's just that when someone else does, it's like, oh wow, he said that and they're saying it too. Man, this is real. Or you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But also, because people are not going to tell you negative things about yourself when your spouse tells you, you know what, you're a little arrogant or, you know, you seem to come off as kind of mean when you talk like that. You're going to believe it.
Right.
Because only someone who loves you is going to tell you that truth.
Right.
Do you see what I'm saying?
I do see what you're saying. So here's what I think. I'm going to my theory now about why these men feel this way. Okay. Here's what I think I was reading in these comments from these men. I feel like the men in the comments feel like what they do is never enough. That
actually, they're speaking out of their own insecurities.
I think so. I think that's funny.
That's what that was.
It's fun. It's funny. That's actually what I was going to say.
Yeah.
They're attacking Ayesha for her insecurities and for making those known. But the reality is, many of the comments coming from people are coming from a place of insecurity.
Right.
And the reality is the reason why there's so much vitriol about this. This is like pent up. This is like frustration that's been building up. If a person's in a relationship and what they say doesn't seem to have enough validity, if it doesn't seem to get enough, like if I say it doesn't really matter. That guy tells you and that matters, but I say it doesn't. That's where I think this is coming from. It's like I'm busting my hump to try to make sure this relationship is all these things, and here you are still wanting attention from somebody else. Now, I don't think Ayesha was saying she wanted attention from somebody else. In fact, she said the exact opposite. I don't even want that attention is what she said. But I think when people are when people are listening to what she's saying, they're projecting themselves onto their conversation, and they're saying, you know what? If I was in this situation, I would be really upset because here she is basically saying she wants somebody else because they're insecure about that particular thing. Right. That's what I think.
Yeah. And I also think that because some of these women out there were very hard on her.
Yes, that's true.
Extremely. And right. I felt like it was more like a haterade. I really do. Because it was like she, saying stuff like, you have everything. So
she doesn't have everything, first of all.
No
one has everything.
First of all, people that have money does not mean that they are totally happy. They have no insecurities. They are just...
They're not immune to problems just because they have money.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, I don't
They're
get
human
that.
beings, just like everybody else.
And so, and first of all, she might actually have it worse in that she's in the limelight.
Right.
So she's always being criticized,
scrutinized.
She's scrutinized.
Never gets any privacy.
And her husband is also getting that.
Right, exactly.
And so they're saying that she's jealous of him, which that really got me more than any of the other comments. Was that she's jealous of him,
right?
Of that he gets attention and she doesn't.
Right.
And it didn't. Her statement didn't even come from that.
Right.
It wasn't even about him.
I actually think her statement came from a place of vulnerability. For some reason in that moment, she felt like she needed to just say, I don't know what's going on with me, but for some reason, I don't know why. I don't even need this. But for some reason, I don't get any attention, and I haven't gotten any attention for the last 10 years. And it makes her feel some kind of way.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Now, I am glad to know that there doesn't seem to be any strife within the Curry home.
So
based on the social media response, Ayesha Curry posted something, and then Steph posted something right after that, and it looks like they're fine.
Yeah, and I love what he said. He said, proud of you for being authentic and putting yourself out there, not being afraid of potential bull and nonsense that could and did come at you. Then he said, way more positive than negative with all of this. Keep being you. I love you.
Wow.
Man, I was just so glad because people were trying to make it like he's ready to be done with her.
Right. Like you're going to break up with her, going to divorce her, whatever.
He gets it. See, let me tell you something. People who are not living that life,
they don't get it.
They don't get it.
That's all it is.
And like I said, on a much lower level, I said this at our kitchen table, that at a much lower level, I understand because in the position that we're in, it's like I feel that sometimes with his job. I feel that where people don't even notice me. And it's not like I want them to. It's just the idea of, I am here, and
you're not just my wife. You're actually your own person, your own human being. Yeah.
Somebody came to me and said, hey, Miss John Nixon, and I love you.
Yes.
I actually love that.
You love being associated with me.
I do.
Yes.
But it's like, did you ask me what my name was?
Right. Yeah.
And you never did ask.
Right.
You don't even care.
Right.
And it's like, it makes you feel like, I am actually, I'm a person. I am someone too, So and you don't need it. It's just about that feeling you get, and I think that can cause insecurities. Yeah. And I do think that that's what's going on with Steph and Ayesha.
So let me say, because I thought this is where you were going. You said he gets it. And see, this is the other thing. It's funny. I read a lot of comments where people were talking about, a lot of the comments sounded like they were coming from people that were not married. A lot of the men that I read were men that were not married. Several of them talked about this is why they would never get married.
Right. And why people shouldn't get married.
Why they shouldn't get married. Exactly. Right. We got a lot of comments on that. And I understand those people's perspective. I can see where they're coming from if they have this particular perspective.
Right.
But one thing I think you don't understand is if you're not in a committed and loving relationship, you would never understand the interplay between Ayesha and Steph in a situation like this. I understand, based on my experience with my wife, that she doesn't want any other man besides me. Exactly. But I also understand how it can feel good when someone else notices her. And it doesn't have to be a sexual notice. My wife is not trying to be noticed by people sexually so that she can turn them on. That's not her thing.
Right.
But when you're living a life where basically there's a lot of obscurity, where a lot of times, as you just said, you're not even noticed as an individual human being. You're basically just related to me. And that's how you are known.
Right.
Sometimes that wears on you.
Right.
And it's nice sometimes to just be noticed for who you are.
Exactly.
Even if
not
it's somebody, even if
thing.
it's not have to be sexual.
Exactly.
It's not like you're trying to cheat on me or go outside the relationship.
Yeah, right.
So, hey, look, I get why people are responding the way that they are, and everybody's entitled to their opinion.
Exactly.
Doesn't mean I have to agree.
Right.
I don't agree. I don't think, first of all, that Ayesha at all was saying anything like she wanted other men. She made it very clear that she did not. I do not agree that Ayesha said anything that should embarrass Steph Curry.
No.
I think her own feelings were her feelings.
Right.
And she was saying what she felt about herself. I also believe that because she has money does not mean she's immune to having insecurities.
Exactly.
She's a human being.
Exactly.
So I don't think there's anything wrong with what happened. I think it was fine. And I'm glad to see the way that Steph responded because obviously he didn't have a problem with it either.
Right. And what I like is that she feels like she can just go ahead and say how she feels and she goes on.
That's it.
You know,
Yeah, me too.
because
I love that.
I love that.
Right.
But I'm saying I like that there are some people who are going to say, hey, this is the way I feel. So
Yep.
that there are so many women out there that are feeling like her. It's not even funny.
It's true.
And so
and
when
they're
they
thinking something wrong with them, and they look to people like Ayesha Curry and say to themselves,
Exactly.
"I would love to be able to be a person with no insecurities." Then they find out that she has them, and they say, "Whoa,
wow, I'm
a
normal,
normal person,
I'm regular."
Nothing
Exactly,
wrong with
because they
me."
look at people like her and they see her and say, "Ooh, I want to be like her."
Right.
That's what I
Right.
want to get to.
Right.
And not saying that's not a good thing to have somebody that you can look up to, but to be able to see, okay, she has the regular things that we women out
That's right.
here
That
who
normal
don't
human
have
beings have.
anything,
Right.
you know what I mean
Yes,
by that,
yes,
who aren't
yes.
big time or whatever.
Yes.
Man, we have the same problems.
Right.
Okay, you know what? I can do this.
Right. Exactly.
I can get
Yeah.
through this.
Yeah.
We can work this out.
That's right.
You know?
Yeah.
So
So anyway, I just want to talk about the idea of having insecurities in relationship, whether or not they're legitimate, where do they come from in the first place,
Yeah.
or whether or not these are things that we should tolerate or allow to happen and stuff like that. So let's just talk specifically about your own situation. You have had 2 children,
yeah.
and both of them were by me.
Yes. I hope so.
Yeah. Both good-looking kids. You did a good job. They both are attractive because
Yes.
of you. So my question is, did you have any issues? I already know the answer, but I want to ask for our listeners, really. Did you have any issues with body image or insecurity as a result of the changes that you went through when you had John and Julie? I'm bringing this up because, Ayesha said in her post something about being 30 and having 3 children and stuff
Right,
like that. So
right.
obviously this is part of her narrative.
Right.
And so I just wonder, have you had, anything like that, or did you deal with anything like that?
Well, yeah. Before I had kids and when we first got married and dating in college and stuff, I mean, I never even thought about my weight.
Right.
Like not even a thought.
Right.
About whether I was this size or not this size, whether I look nice in this. I mean, I just put on the clothes and go. Like it was never an issue.
Right.
And then it's like I had John, but the weight came off like that. So I still never dealt with, because when you're pregnant, you're going to gain and it's okay.
Right.
Once you have the baby, it's like, okay, what's going to happen after this?
Right.
I had nothing.
Right.
I was no stretch marks. It was just like went right back. Matter of fact, I was smaller.
Right.
After having him.
Right.
So I don't know what that was about.
I remember
okay.
that. Yeah.
So then I had Julia, and the weight decided that after she came out, it was going to stay the same size it was while she was in there.
So you're supposed to have weighed at least less than what
At
the
least
baby
the
was
6
that was
pounds
inside you.
that
Right, exactly. But that
I
didn't
was
even come
the
off.
exact same, if not more,
Right.
after she came out.
Right.
So, and it didn't go away. And
Right.
for the first time in my life, I was like, oh my goodness, I'm self-conscious. I've never been self-conscious. I would just go.
Yeah.
And for the first time in my life, I had to deal with self-consciousness at the age of 28. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So it's like, man, here I am now asking you, is this too tight? How does this look? Oh man, my stuff is sticking out of this. And I never had to deal with that. So,
Yeah.
imagine how that feels. But
Yeah.
when you get it later on in age, it's like, what do I do with this?
Right.
I don't even know who to talk to.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. That sounds legitimate to me.
Okay.
That sounds like. So here's what I'm saying. I guess from a man's perspective, we don't think about stuff like that because we don't have to deal with having children or anything like that. And to be honest with you, I'm not sure I would ever even think about it, except that I'm married to you and I had to live beside you and watch your mood change and watch things happen to you that you never dealt with before.
Right.
So I think before that time, I probably wouldn't have had even a second thought. I might have actually said, why are you acting? Why is that such a big deal? Why are you tripping?
Right,
you know what I'm saying?
right.
But now having been married to you, I've actually gone through it with you, it feels like, because we've gone through the journey of pregnancy together. Of course, I didn't carry the baby, but you know what I'm saying? So to me, there are a lot of people who respond to things like this, and they just don't understand because they haven't been close enough to it.
Yeah.
They haven't ever seen anything like it.
That's really what it is. When you have not been in it, you really can't understand fully.
Right.
You can be understanding,
Right.
but you can't really understand how the person feels until you're in it. And I'll tell you this, when our children were little, and I felt like, I was working full time and coming home tired, not able to do all the things that I wanted to do as a mother and wife.
Right.
I remember starting to get an insecurity that I never had, and I don't have now, but I had it during this time, and it scared me because I was like, why am I thinking like this? So I can so relate to Ayesha because when she said, I don't even want to think like that, but it's coming to my mind.
Comes out of nowhere. You're like, where's this coming from?
So again, I feel like that's why some people just don't understand because they've never been there. But I've been there in that I wasn't being the wife and mother that I wanted to be. So what I did was I looked at other women and said, man, he probably wants a wife like that, who is a Martha Stewart. I mean, I had some friends who was like, every birthday party.
Can we pick a different person? I definitely wouldn't want a Martha Stewart. Let's go with.
Well, she gonna make you some money though.
Well,
she a hustler.
I don't know about all that. She's gonna spend some time in jail. You know what I'm saying?
She make you some money while in jail too, though.
That's true.
But I'm just saying, like, I was looking at this woman and she's doing this and with her kids and family, she got all them kids and a husband and she's doing that and that and that. And I'm like, man, does he want that kind of wife? Is that what he really wants me to be? So I'm beginning to question whether he wants me, and he never gave any inclination that he didn't.
Right. And here's the thing. I remember when you first started suggesting to me things like, do you want a person like that? I remember getting extremely upset because I was like, what am I doing to show you? No, I'm for real. Like, how am I showing?
And you weren't.
Right.
And I had to tell him that you're not showing.
How am I showing you that I want another wife?
But it was
you?
my insecurities I was actually putting my insecurities on him.
Right.
And so I put something in his mind that he wouldn't even, he had no thought at all.
Right.
About wanting somebody else.
Right.
But I put that on him because I began to become insecure about myself as a wife and as a mother because this was all first for me. And here I am not doing it the way that I had in my mind I would do it.
Right.
And so
to me, this is what's important about understanding insecurities. Insecurities don't make sense.
No.
They're not logical.
No.
It doesn't come from a place that like you can put one and two together. Now, you can probably connect some dots, but honestly,
figure out where it's coming from.
No, what I'm saying is if you say out loud why you're thinking the way that you're thinking about something, somebody else will say, where you get that from?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? The insecurities don't make sense.
Right.
That's how they work.
Exactly.
So you cannot attack logically. You cannot come at insecurities with logic. It doesn't make any sense.
No.
Now, people that don't have any insecurities don't understand this, but people that don't have insecurities are lying. Everybody has one.
Yeah.
Everybody has at least something you're insecure about.
It doesn't have to be huge.
No.
But it is some insecurity.
That's right. Now, sometimes we are, we have our armor up against that, and we don't think about our insecurities, so we think they're not there because we don't think about them, but they are there.
Right.
Everybody has at least one thing. And sometimes we have more than one. And the reality is, here's how you know you have an insecurity, and this is when it really hits home sometimes. Sometimes somebody says something to you about yourself. Maybe they're just joking. They say it to you, and it's something you had thought about yourself before, but you kind of just let it go. And then they say it. Man, now you're like, oh shoot, maybe what I was thinking is actually true.
Right.
That's sometimes that happens and it hits you like in the gut, and you're like, yo, I wasn't even ready for that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I really think that people coming at Ayesha specifically for having an insecurity, that's a problem, because I just don't think you understand that you have your own. Now, maybe you're just misunderstanding the situation and you're calling this a thing about her wanting to cheat, when in fact what we see it as is, what she said it was. She actually said, I'm feeling a little bit insecure about this. She's saying I have an insecurity. She told you what it was.
And folks still responding.
That's what I'm saying.
But babe,
stop it. Listen to what the girl says.
I'm going to tell you what it is.
Okay, what is it?
Because if Sally Mae,
right? You mean some regular Joe, regular person?
Sally Mae got on YouTube and just said,
right,
I'm insecure in my relationship, where so much so that I feel like I might need. I need to feel like I'm wanted, even though I don't want that. But I kind of feel like I need somebody to
something
show
similar
me.
to what Ayesha just said.
Okay.
If somebody else just did it, that was regular.
There would be no. I feel like the comments would have been, "Girl, be proud of who you are, or you don't need nobody to. You look good." Instead, I got people commenting saying stuff like, "She ain't all that anyway," and she got money. She better be glad she got that. And I'm just like, wow.
Right.
I mean, it's not even about that.
Right. Yeah.
But the response is, you have everything.
Right.
You shouldn't have these insecurities.
Right.
You should be happy with what you have and shut up.
Right. Which is really it just doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't, and I feel like people like her saying that is more powerful than somebody like me get on and saying.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Because
she has people that look to her.
Yes, exactly.
And women that look to her, and she can say, "Hey, I have these insecurities, and this is how I'm dealing with it." Yeah, I'm thinking the same things that you're thinking.
Right.
Sometimes I have these thoughts that don't mean it, that don't make any sense.
Right.
Why am I wanting this?
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
Let's look deeper into it.
Right. Yeah.
And I feel like the conversation can help her and others through it.
That's right.
I mean,
I agree.
And people are saying, well, she shouldn't have done it on social media, or she shouldn't have done it to embarrass her man.
Right.
Well, he's obviously not embarrassed. He's proud of her.
Right.
So
no
boom.
problem with it. Exactly. So way to go, guys. We're proud of you. We're glad that you're able to handle that, and there wasn't no problem for you. It didn't jack up your marriage like everybody said it was going to.
That's right.
So for all y'all that are out there that are in relationships, I really want to hear your comments, to be honest with you. Do you go through this same kind of thing? Do you have battles with your significant other about, not feeling like you're adequate enough, or not feeling like what you say is enough, or the person needs attention from other places and stuff? How do you deal with that? How do you handle that? What kinds of things do you go through to really help your relationship? Does it make you want to cut and run? Does it make you want to be like, you know what, this thing is over. I need to go with somebody else because you don't appreciate me enough.
Exactly.
Just tell us what you think. We'd love to hear your comments. So go ahead and write them in, and we'll read them all.
Yeah.
We may not respond to them all, but we'll read them all.
Yeah.
All right, so now it's time for our word of the day.
Yes.
Our word of the day is the word content.
Content.
Content means in a state of peaceful happiness.
Wow.
Now, this one we picked because we actually feel that right now in this world, it is very hard for a person to be content. And the reason is because there's so much that you have to compete with in this world. And there's so much evidence of the things you're competing with right on your phone. Social media, we talked about this a few episodes ago. I think it was the episode on stress. We talked about how there are so many things in social media that we're able to see all the time. It sometimes increases our stress level because here we are comparing ourselves to other people all the time. I actually think it also increases or decreases our level of contentment. It's hard for us to be peaceful and happy with our own lives because we're constantly looking at what other people are doing, and it makes us want to just be like, how come I can't be like that?
Right.
So I think it'd be better if we were just happy with the life that God has blessed us with.
Exactly.
And maybe you don't feel like God's in your life. I don't know. Maybe you don't feel like you're blessed by him. I have no clue. But if you were just happy with what you had, I think it would go so much farther and so much better.
Yeah.
So we think we should be content. I'm going to try to be content. I'm already content. I'm more than content in my relationship. I'm extremely happy, peaceful, and happy.
Me too, baby.
That's exactly what I am.
Oh, yeah.
So I hope you are too. So we put that on you today. Hope you are content. And
get that peace.
Yeah,
even
man.
with all the mess that's around.
Yeah, for real. There's a lot of stuff out there, but try to find it. I think you can have it. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So we'll see you next time.
See ya. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for watching Jess, John, and April.
Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Also hit that notification bell to be notified about our next episode.
See you next time.
Bye.